Real Virginia is produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Farming, it's all good. Visit our website at vafarmbureau.org.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful products we enjoy.
Farm Bureau supports the use of science-based agriculture. We'll explain why. We have a twist on a game day burger in the heart of the home, and we take you to a creamery in the Shenandoah Valley that is bringing several dairies together.
Welcome back everyone. We are here at the state capital of Virginia, and this is the location where thousands of farmers will be asking their lawmakers not to label genetically modified foods. Norm Hyde explains why.
GMO is the acronym for genetically modified organism, a plant or even an animal whose DNA has been modified by scientists. These changes are made to offer a wide variety of benefits, such as a stronger resistance to diseases or a tolerance of certain herbicides. Lee Pemberton plants genetically modified seeds for the crops he feeds his dairy cows. He says they've made a substantial difference in his operation.
It's allowed us to cut back on the total herbicides on the land because of the GMO technology that's in the corn. And overall, I just think it grows a better crop. When I was a little boy, 50 bushels thought was a magic thing. Now, if you're not growing in our area at least 150 bushels to 200, something's wrong, and you need to find out. Technology has brought us to this point, and I think it's going to take us further as we go along, and that's what we need, more production off of less acres.
A new summary of more than 1,700 scientific studies on genetically modified crops found those foods are as safe or safer than conventional or organically produced foods. The research review was published in the scientific review Critical Reviews in Biotechnology and summarized research results over the past decade. In addition to these results, biotech crops have been on the market for many years in the U.S. and are already approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. That's why the Virginia Farm Bureau will be asking the Virginia General Assembly this winter to ignore any calls to put a special label on GMO foods and seeds.
Genetically modified seeds, which are just changing the gene traits within that seed, it's not adding something to it, has really reduced the amount of pesticides by 379 million pounds over a 5-year period of time. So we can see that by having the use of biotechnology for our plants and for our food has actually been a good thing for the public.
Martha Moore with the Farm Bureau says her group believes the labeling so-called GMO foods would only muddy the waters about how safe our food supply is.
It would make it very complicated for consumers to understand exactly what was in their food system by having this additional labeling. In addition to that, it's really difficult if every state tried to enforce their own labeling standards, and so we just feel like it's inappropriate at the state level for them to consider GMO labeling.
And Pemberton says he and many other farmers would find it much more difficult to remain in business now that GMO crops are established and proven to be safe.
There are people who have gone the organic route, but those that I know, they are having a much harder time trying to stay in the industry because they have less production, their cost of production is different, and they don't generate a lot higher retail price for these organic crops. So I think the GMO is what has allowed us to stay in this industry and hopefully will allow us to continue in it for many years to come.
In addition to opposing efforts to label GMO foods, the Farm Bureau will be seeking adequate and stable funding for local soil and water conservation districts and more money for programs to help prevent pollution into the Chesapeake Bay. Farm Bureau also supports funding Phase 2 of the construction of a new dairy research facility at Virginia Tech and compromise legislation modifying the state's right to farm law. In Richmond, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde. Located just north of the state capital, Hanover County has 625 farms, most of them smaller than 150 acres. The Hanover tomato is regionally famous here, along with other fruits and vegetables. Nursery products are the top farm commodity, followed by soybeans, corn, and hay. There are a number of dairy and poultry farms in Hanover County, along with almost 10,000 head of cattle, and there are almost 2,000 head of horses and ponies, reflecting the fact that this is one of Virginia's top horse counties. Altogether, agriculture contributes almost $44 million to the economy of Hanover County, Virginia.
Well, it's wintertime, and we're going to show you how to plan your vegetable garden from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
I feel that family farms are very important because it's not just a living or occupation, it's a way of life. We live, work, and play right here in one location.
The grandchildren are around, and as often as they can, they'll come and say, "Grandma, can I help?"
There's a lot of challenges, but by having to be a family operation, it makes it all more enjoyable.
This is what I do. It's my livelihood. I enjoy doing it. This is my hobby. It's my vocation. It's a wonderful place to enjoy life with my wife, my children, and grandchildren.
We're putting out a product for other people to drink and consume. We hope they like milk and cheese and ice cream and butter and all those good things.
What I've always done is what I enjoy doing. It's what I hope my family will continue to do in the future.
I'm Gerald Heatwell.
I'm Anita Heatwell,
I'm Monty Heatwell,
and I'm dedicated to dairy, our cows, our milk, and our land.
Cold temperatures may have sent some of you gardeners inside, but now is the perfect time to plan next year's garden. Chris Mullins shows us how from the ground up.
Well, this time of the year, there's not a lot to do in the home garden. You maybe in the fall have done some work. You might have tilled the garden up, added amendments, maybe even planted some cover crops. But as it's cold outside, you can't really do much for your garden. You could probably work on some tools. You could repair hose, sharpen them. You could work on irrigation equipment, fix things up. If you've got a tiller, you could do the maintenance on that in a garage like this. But there are some other things you can do. You can start planning your vegetable garden for the spring. Well, you're probably getting lots of seed catalogs this time of the year. All kinds of them coming in the mail, and you're thinking about all the new varieties that are out there, all the things you want to grow. And that's a good thing, to try different varieties each year. One of the things you want to think about is when you buy seeds, do you want to plant these seeds directly in the ground? Or do you have the ability with a cold frame or a warm place inside to make transplants? Or are you going to buy transplants from your garden center? That's going to be a little bit more expensive option. But either way, transplants are going to give you a head start on your garden in the spring. You also have to think about varieties and think about ones that are early, ones that are late. For example, lettuce, some varieties are slow to bolt or resistant to bolt. They'd be better for planting in the late spring or summer. And some lettuce varieties would be better for the winter time. Well, the next thing you want to think about is how you're going to grow your plants. Are you going to maybe make a raised bed? Now, raised beds are kind of the most expensive way to grow because you have to buy things to make the beds themselves, but usually it can help with soil warming in the early spring, and so maybe you can get another head start on the planting. Another way is just conventional flatbed production. Of course, this is going to be the least expensive, but you're going to need to till or something to till up the ground and maybe have to add amendments to the ground. And another thing to think about, if you don't have suitable land or you don't have much space, is to do container gardening, where you can have some type of container, pot, for example, that you can put your tomato plants in and other things in and grow them that way. So how much are you going to grow is the next question. Now, if you're an experienced gardener, you kind of have an idea of how many of this and of that to put out to make sure that your friends and family have enough of that. But if you're new, sometimes it's hard to tell. Some general guidelines for a family of 4, let's say lettuce, for example. A family of 4 could probably get by with about a 15-foot row of lettuce. They could probably be fine with maybe 10 to 15 tomato plants. And a family of 4 would also probably, if they were going to have beans or peas, would probably find that about a 40-foot row would be good for them. So we've covered a little bit about what to grow, how to grow it, and how much to grow. Now let's think about how much this is all going to cost. Now, generally, when people start a garden, they spend most of their money up front when they're starting out the first few seasons with tools, maybe a tiller, and things like that. But we found after a few studies over the years that in general, gardening is good for people. They do make that money back over time. And if you had to attribute a value to it, It's about 75 cents per square foot of gardening space a gardener might save on the vegetable crops that they grow in that area. So that's a pretty good return. So for example, if somebody had a 500 square foot garden, they might save anywhere from $300 to $400 on the tomatoes or potatoes or broccoli or other vegetables that they're growing in that space versus having to buy them at the grocery store. The last thing let's consider is how much time it takes to have a garden. On average, a 1,000 square foot garden can take 10 to 15 hours to establish, and it can take 4 to 5 hours of maintenance every week during the spring and summer. So that's definitely something to think about. You want to make sure you've got enough time to put that garden in. Well, I think you can find a lot more information from your local master gardener, and they're going to be at your county extension office. All you have to do is call them, and they're a great help. As we try to think more and more about saving money, next month we're going to talk about how to make your own transplants. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
Up next on Real Virginia, we have a fun Cuban twist on your Super Bowl burger in the heart of the home.
Today, we gather to recognize the selfless decision of one of the most influential women of our time. The woman who, after having one too many drinks, chose not to drive home buzzed. Here today to honor Rachel is the family whose lives she spared.
Today, 720 new cases of breast cancer will be diagnosed.
Every day, 120 women will die from the disease.
You can make a difference for the more than 6,300 women diagnosed in Virginia this year.
Education and early detection are critical in this fight.
By advocating for the needs of those of us suffering from the disease.
Let's keep breast cancer awareness out in front so we can leave the disease behind.
Consider the lowly hamburger. Pretty routine food, wouldn't you say? Our Kendra Bailey Morris has a recipe for turning boring burgers into game-winning sandwiches, Cuban style, in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Kendra Bailey Morris, and welcome to the Heart of the Home. Today we are at the University of Virginia, and we are on their gorgeous grounds here at Scott Stadium, and we're going to be doing tailgate foods. And the recipe that we're going to be doing today is probably my favorite burger recipe of all time. I mean, everybody loves burgers. I love lots of different types of burgers, but this is a really unique burger recipe, and it's perfect for a tailgate. And it's going to be using Virginia ground beef. The first thing you're going to do when you make these burgers is you're going to go ahead and add a little mixture, have some cumin and a little Dijon mustard, maybe a little Worcestershire sauce mixed into your burger, and I've already done that already. And so whatever burger mix you like to use, you could just do salt and pepper on it if you want. That's how we're going to start it. That's just the burger base. So what I've got here is my burgers, and I haven't seasoned them with salt or pepper. And when you're working with a hamburger like this or any type of meat such as a steak, make sure that you do the seasoning right before you put it in the pan, and don't season it too early, especially with salt, because if you do that, what will happen is it will toughen your meat a little bit, so you want to be careful about that. You could also do this on the grill. And I'm going to go ahead and put these burgers in the pan. And when I work with ground beef, I like to use an 85-15% difference, meaning you want about 15% fat, such as a chuck or a sirloin beef is really nice. Lean beef is good, and definitely if you have dietary concerns, I encourage you to use it, but I absolutely think the great flavor in a burger comes from some of the ground fat that's in it. So don't be afraid to use a little bit of ground fat. And I'm going to go ahead and season the other side of this burger with some freshly ground pepper. And I'm going to go ahead and cook these all the way through to a safe temperature, and then we'll come back and we'll finish making our burgers. We'll assemble them with our ham and our cheese and our pickle, and we'll have the Cuban burger. We'll be right back. All right, so our burgers are looking pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and remove these. Meanwhile, I'm going to make my mayonnaise sauce, and this is actually a very, very important part of this dish that I think really makes it, and it's a roasted garlic mayo. which is obviously a little bit different than what you would do in a traditional Cuban, which is just mustard, yellow mustard. In this case, we're going to have a little mayonnaise, and I've gone ahead and roasted a whole head of garlic. And it's really easy to roast a head of garlic. Basically, I just slice the top of it off, expose the cloves, wrap it in some tin foil, and go ahead and roast it in the oven for about 45 minutes or so at 275, 300, and you have this perfect roasted garlic, and it's so flavorful and delicious. I love it. When you're ready to use it, all you have to do is grab it at the bottom and squeeze it out. And you could put as much or as little garlic as you want in this. I like lots of garlic personally, so I'm putting a good amount. And I'm going to also give this a little squeeze of lime juice, just to add a little acid into it. And I've also got some Dijon mustard. I'm going to mix all of this together. I'm going to add a little black pepper, a little bit of salt. And this is the roasted garlic mayo that's going to go on your burgers. You can see I've already got this on a piece of tin foil, because we're going to assemble our burgers, and we're going to wrap them in tin foil, and then we're going to sear them in this pan. And I'm going to begin by smearing some of this wonderful roasted garlic mayo on my bun. And then I'm going to add a piece of Swiss cheese. And this is, I just got real thinly sliced Swiss cheese. And then I'm going to take one of my burgers. And then I'm going to take some of this ham. And this is just smoked ham, regular smoked deli ham that you can buy just about anywhere. And take a piece or two of that. And then I've got dill pickles. Put those down. And then I'm going to add one more slice of Swiss cheese. More cheese the better, right? As you can see, this is a pretty tall burger, but we're going to go ahead and put it in a pan and cook it down. Finally, I'm going to add some more of my roasted garlic mayo on top. And it's okay to smash it down, because you're going to press these down. And you're going to wrap it up tightly in your foil, just like so. And I'm going to go ahead and cook these in the pan on both sides. And you can weigh them down with a brick or something heavy, another pan, a cast iron pan, or in this case, what I'm going to do is just go ahead and press it down with my spatula. And we're going to cook them on both sides until the cheese is melted and it's warmed through, and then our burgers are going to be done. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll be right back. So our burgers have been cooking, I would say about 3 to 4, 45 minutes on each side. And what you're looking for is you want them to be nice and crispy and brown on the outside, and the cheese melted and everything warmed through. That's really all you need to do, because the burgers are cooked. This recipe was originally made for the grill, which is why I suggested using the tin foil. Although if you're going to do it in a pan, you don't necessarily need the tin foil. It's totally up to you. You'll get two different styles of burgers. They're both going to be really good either way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove these from the pan. And these are messy and delicious. Burgers have to be messy. There's just something about that. This is the one that was done in the tin foil, and it's a little bit more of a steamy burger. And then here, these are the crispy ones that I've grilled on both sides and pressed them down. And these are really, really, really good. Here you have it. These are Cuban burgers. These are great for a tailgate or great for the Super Bowl if you're having a Super Bowl party. I'm Kendra Bailey Morris. Let's get cooking.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafarmbureau.org.
Nearly 9 out of 10 U.S. households, or about 88%, will eat beef at home in the next 2 weeks. Steak, eaten plain, is the single most popular beef dish, but burgers continue to outsell chicken nuggets served in restaurants by more than 2 to 1. The U.S. beef industry has more than 1 million businesses, farmers, and ranchers operating in all 50 states. Virginia's beef producers earned more than $373 million in 2011. The Commonwealth ranks 16th in beef production in the U.S., and the largest beef county in Virginia is Augusta County in the Shenandoah Valley.
Hey, buddy, where are you going today?
I'm going to go over there to stand 6.
Well, I'm going to go up here on 8. I saw biggin up there the other day.
All right, well, good luck, but you don't have a safety harness.
Oh, shoot, I ain't got time to go back and get it. I left it in the truck.
That's a bad idea. You really need it.
Well, we got to go. See you later. Kill a biggin.
Yes, sir.
What's your name? Open your eyes for me.
To you, this is a place to make macaroni and cheese. To someone else, it's a way to make a kid sorry for what he did. Preventing child abuse and neglect doesn't just mean reporting it. It means stopping it before it starts. Find out how at preventchildabuse.org or 1-800-CHILDREN. A child is helpless. You are not.
For decades, dairymen have been more concerned about milking their cows than selling to the public. But as Lonnie Fairbanks reports, these dairymen are taking extra steps to produce local milk.
It all started with a simple idea: a co-op of farmers selling high-quality dairy products to a local market.
I feel there's a large demand within this 150, 200-mile radius from our family farms and our plant for a local, high-quality, low pasteurization temperature product.
The idea quickly grew as a few farm families recruited their friends and neighbors.
I felt that there was community support within the farming community for it, and that's why I really did it. I didn't do it just for myself. We did it for the community.
And then, with a team of legal and business experts, those farm families made this idea a reality.
The plant came available in Hagerstown, and it's set up for ice cream. So we're going to add the fluid line to it.
Now, these 21 farms are ready to produce a total of 67 million pounds of milk for their creamery each year.
We all supply milk to the creamery, and then they separate it out and make different products out of it.
Those products include milk, ice cream, and butter under the Shenandoah Family Farms brand. Their goal is to connect their family farm to the community with these local natural products.
All of these 21 farms are family-owned and family-operated farms. All of them, the whole family is part of our farm. A lot of the wives help milk and do book work, and the kids also. We're out there to try to be your family farm and have that connection on our farms. We'll have tours on our farms, and we're open to the community, to people, to teach them a little bit on how we do cow welfare and how we take care of our animals and the kind of quality product we're trying to make.
And with a little hard work,
a lot of the farmers have spent the last 2 weeks up at the plant helping get it cleaned up, painted up, and get ready to move equipment in and the equipment that we don't have, which is the fluid line, and be able to get open and operational.
these families will carry on their legacy for generations to come.
I put a lot of work into the farm and like to keep it in the family, especially if they'd like to carry it on.
In Rockingham County, I'm Lonnie Fairbank.
And that's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your garden, or your landscape, we're proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good month.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.